Well, well, well. It's been an interesting few weeks to be an American, what with all the election excitement. If you're thinking of making the big leap and moving to Spain or somewhere else here in Europe, now might be a very good time. These past 2 weeks, the expat groups on Facebook, in fact, have been abuzz with people who want to get out of the US sooner rather than later. And a lot of them, it must be said, have no idea what they're getting into. Moving to Spain isn't for everyone, but it is a great experience if you can make it work legally and financially. And there are plenty of options these days for becoming a digital nomad or otherwise getting a visa in Spain, or if you prefer, somewhere else in Europe. There's also the possibility of getting citizenship in many countries as a descendant of past immigrants, or more accurately, emigrants. A lot of people I've known here in Spain were able to get a second passport through an Italian grandfather or something similar. Maybe you could too, depending on your background. In any case, there's been some big news on the Spanish visa front, sort of. Hey everybody, it's Daniel. Welcome back to Spain to Go, the best podcast in the entire multiverse for all things Spain. This is episode 92, all about moving to Spain in 2025. Quick shout out to Veronica. Veronica says, found you on the internet, not sure how, and read your stuff about Spain nonstop for 3 hours instead of going to bed. I'm Spanish American, by the way. Thank you, Veronica. I appreciate your support. You can support the podcast as well. Go to expatmadrid.com/donate. You can donate any amount you want. expatmadrid.com/donate. And if you do donate, I will most likely give you a shout out here on the show. Sometimes I probably forget people, but usually I manage to give a shout out. Like I said, we had some big news in Spanish visa processes this week. Sort of. Sort of is the key word because the Spanish government has spent the last 10 years or so offering a golden visa to anyone who buys a house for €500,000 or more. The European Union came out against this sort of visa a couple of years ago, and earlier this year, in April 2024 to be exact, the government of Pedro Sanchez announced that they were studying ways to kill the golden visa scheme. I wrote about it in an article back then, which you can still read for more information. It is also an episode of the podcast, episode 69. It explains everything you need to know about the golden visa. But will it still be around? Well, we didn't have any updates about the whole thing for more than 6 months until last week, when it was announced that the end may be near. The end of the golden visa through real estate purchase may in fact be happening in January 2025. But here's the thing. It takes a long time to make laws here in Spain, so really their announcement was the following. They've added a rider onto a law that, if passed by the Senate, would kill the golden visa through real estate investment. The visa through investment in Spanish stocks or bonds is untouched by the amendment as it currently stands, so if you have $1 million or two, you can still get the golden visa. But more importantly, the law in question has to go through the Senate for amendments, and the Senate could change things or remove that bit entirely. The law that the bit about killing the golden visa is attached to is related to efficiency of justice, which I take it to mean it will try to speed up the legal system a bit so that people aren't waiting for years to go to court, or maybe visa processes, for example, could be a little bit shorter. Who knows? In any case, nothing is final until it makes it into the Boletín Oficial del Estado, the official state gazette where new laws are published. Some people have already announced the end of the golden visa, and I guess it might happen, but it's really too early to tell. Until this makes it to the Boletín Oficial del Estado, you can still put in your applications for the Spanish golden visa, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to do it soon. But like I said, nothing is final yet. Your application will be processed normally if you get it in before the law changes, if it changes. Better to talk to a lawyer about it. My personal recommendation is Melcart Abogados in Madrid. Melcart, Melcart, in Madrid. Roberto down there is a very knowledgeable guy. And generally, my recommendation for everything is talk to a lawyer. There's a lot of nuance that is probably being missed if you get your information about the Spanish law from Instagram or TikTok. Other options for moving to Spain. There are, of course, other options because the fact is the laws are always changing in Spain and elsewhere. If you want some guidance in order to move to Spain or somewhere else in Europe, my friend Seppi Tabibian has an ebook that'll help you. Actually, she has 2 ebooks. Go to my website, expatmadrid.com, and find this article, Moving to Spain in 2025. That has links to these ebooks. Seppi has been on the podcast as well. She is episode 74, I believe. We talked about moving abroad in 2024 at the beginning of this year. It is now almost 2025, and moving abroad is still relevant to a lot of people. So check out that interview as well, episode 74. But on the website, expatmadrid.com, the article Moving to Spain in 2025 has links to Seppi's books. I'm Out of Here, An American's Ultimate Visa Guide to Living in Europe is the first one. She has a newer one also on citizenship by descent. That's what she's calling the Italian grandfather method of getting a second passport. I think Seppi has 3 passports. She knows her way around some bureaucracy. So definitely check her stuff out. I get a bit of a commission if you get something using the links on my website, so I appreciate that. Or of course, you could just donate, expatmadrid.com/donate. Full disclosure here, anytime I see a clueless American on some Facebook group asking really obvious questions about moving abroad, I cringe a bit. But then I remind myself that I was once just as clueless. There's a rather steep learning curve to making a life outside the US, and that's just one of the reasons why a lot of people end up going home in the end. But either way, living in Spain, even if it's temporary, is bound to be a life-changing experience. When I moved to Spain back in the day, I did everything wrong. I just overstayed a tourist visa and worked things out later. Recently, though, I celebrated 20 years of living in Spain. That is episode 90 of the podcast, if you'd like to hear the whole story, episode 90. In any case, I was as confused as they come back in those early days, and I also had a huge aversion to bureaucracy. Also, going and asking questions on a Facebook group just wasn't an option 20 years ago. So if I can make it work, anybody can. Those ebooks by my friend Seppi are a very affordable way to start learning about what's required. I get a bit of commission, like I said, if you buy one through one of the links. So check that out over on expatmadrid.com. Finally, an election 2024 recap. Okay, it's not really a recap. I don't really have some big statement to make about the result of the 2024 presidential election in the US. I am, after all, just a small niche travel blogger. It doesn't matter much what I think. But I've been irritated with the echo chambers and the media's constant pandering to one political party for quite a long time. And it turns out I'm not the only one. The fact is, we've reached a point where tens of millions of Americans believe Joe Rogan over the New York Times. And it's entirely the New York Times' fault that they've let things get to that point. Trust from your audience has to be earned, and treating just over half of Americans as if they are stupid people who hate democracy is a really good way to alienate. Let me check the vote tally really quick. Oh, just over half of Americans. Once again, this is a small niche blog, but you would not believe the amount of time I spend researching, rewording, fact-checking, and otherwise respecting the intelligence of you, my audience. Some of what I write about is my personal experience, and I try to make that clear when that's the case. Sometimes I make obviously satirical generalizations about dating Spanish girls or whatever. But I also try to be clear with myself and not let my personal biases cause me to go off on long rants about something I don't understand. In the past, I've spoken spontaneously on videos about things I didn't really know enough about, and someone is always there in the comments to let me know where I'm wrong. That's part of the game, and I appreciate it when it happens. So I try to separate facts from opinions and also separate real verifiable facts from something someone told me at a bar 12 years ago, and I just believed it because I never bothered to look it up. It's not a perfect system, but here on my sofa, with no editor and no fact-checking team, I do the best I can. Thanks for listening. If you do end up moving to Spain, please drop me a line. With faith in democracy, I am, as always, your humble servant, Daniel, also known as Mr. Chorizo. And that's about all I've got for today. In other news, I just got back from Extremadura. You can check out an article I will be publishing soon. I haven't published it yet, but I will soon have an article that you can check out about the bike tour across Extremadura. Otherwise, listen to my episode about the route of Don Quixote. That was a good one from several months ago. That was episode 76. You can check out the route of Don Quixote over there. Extremadura was much better than Don Quixote. Don Quixote was a great experience, but Extremadura was like mind-bendingly good. Anyway, yes, mind-bendingly. I said that for real. Anyway, go to biketourinspain.com if you'd like to sign up for a bike tour. Tell Raul that Daniel sent you. He'll know. Daniel from the Spain to Go podcast, in case he's got a cousin named Daniel or something, would probably be a little bit more clear. So, check that out, biketourinspain.com. I'll have more about Extremadura soon. Final note, just to give you an idea of how serious I am about fact-checking and correctness in general. In writing the article earlier today, I spent about 20 minutes trying to decide between various ways of handling the italics and capital letters in the title of a newspaper published in Manhattan. Is it the New York Times? Capital N, capital Y, capital T? Is Times in italics? Is the whole thing in italics? Is the letter T in the capitalized for some reason? Different style manuals apparently say different things. The AP, as far as I can tell, says don't italicize the names of newspapers, so I didn't italicize in the written version of this post. I also can't bring myself to capitalize the unless it's at the beginning of a sentence. So the New York Times is what I went with. Although I'm very certain that in some publications, possibly British ones, I've seen Times in italics and the rest in a regular sort of font, almost as if Times were the name of the newspaper and New York was just a description of where it is published. Anyway, that is neither here nor there. This is the Spain to Go podcast. Neither the word the nor the word podcast are capitalized in the official Spain to Go style manual. And if you're listening, it's pretty hard to hear the capital letters anyway. But I do take correctness seriously. This whole thing sort of reminds me of the time I used the expression could care less as an obvious example of colloquial usage in an informal text. I am still getting angry emails about could care less, but that's fine. You can't be right about everything all the time. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day. If you do move to Spain, as I said, let me know. Head over to the blog expatmadrid.com to read much more about all things Spain. Or maybe check out my YouTube, Learn Spanish with Daniel. I'll be making more Spanish videos soon, as they say. I've got, 50 videos up there as it is. Now you can check those out. I teach not beginner's Spanish for the most part, but if you already have some idea, you can learn a lot of interesting things over there. Learn Spanish with Daniel. Just put that into YouTube and you'll find me. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Leave me a review if you're on iTunes or if you're on Spotify or anywhere else where you can leave a review. If you're one of the 3 people listening to me on Audible, for example, you could leave a review on there also. I appreciate it, and I hope wherever you are in the world, you're having a great day. Until next time, hasta la próxima. Bye.